Hello, everybody. This is Ali, also known as Color Mama 360. I'm so excited to have you back for another episode of the podcast. Today, we have another amazing interview, and I am so excited for this one. We are going to dive deeper into the world of coloring and also talk about the world of creating the art and the line art that goes into the coloring books that we all love. So, without further ado, good morning, good night, good middle of the night, depending on when you're listening. This is Beyond the Lines Coloring Podcast. All right, everybody, before we jump into today's interview, let's cover some coloring news. So, Space Timber is right around the corner. If you're not familiar with what Space Timber is, it is a month-long hashtag and overall theme for the month of September. It is hosted by Soraya Colors. She has a video called Let's Get Ready for hashtag Space Timber 2026, where she talks more about what space-related things will be happening during the month and how you can join in. And so I highly recommend checking out her video. And if you haven't participated in Space Timber before, which I haven't, I did not participate last year, this is a really exciting hashtag to maybe dive into some books that you haven't yet. And it's just kind of an overall fun theme for the month. And with that, also for me, this next coming month of September starts the fall/autumn coloring season for me. So keep a lookout on my channel for my Shop My Stash video for autumn. Now, this is a series of videos that I have been doing for each season where I just take a look through some of the books in my collection to not only remind myself, but kind of maybe remind you guys too, if you have some of the same books, about what pages are in what books and get some inspiration for the upcoming season. Another hashtag is hosted by Coloring with Lil, and it's Throwback Thursday. So if you want more information about that, make sure to check out her channel. I also had something pop up recently, and of course, once you click on it, then you continue to get ads for it. And so I wanted to see if anybody else had heard of this or seen this, but it's called Creator Room Co. Essentially, what this is it's like a giant cabinet that you can put into like your office space or, a room, and it folds up into itself. But when you open it up, it has shelves, it has a part that comes down as a desk, it has a bunch of storage areas. So essentially, it's like an office in a cabinet, or for some of us, like a coloring room in a cabinet or a craft room in a cabinet. Have any of you guys heard of this? And what do you think about this? Because boy, is it pricey. I was shocked by the price. It's a very cool idea. And especially for somebody with limited space, I could definitely see how it would be useful. But the price definitely shocked me. So I'm wondering, what do you guys think about this? Let me know in the comments once you've checked it out. Do you think that it's worth the price? And any other thoughts that you might have on this? Because it's very cool, but I'm just curious to know if anybody else has heard of this or what the thoughts are around it. Along those same sort of lines, just another random sort of plug slash request. I am always looking for new artists to support, especially those selling on other platforms. So I am specifically saying people that typically have coloring pages. And I love supporting artists that I find who have coloring pages or books that maybe they don't sell on other platforms. So maybe they're not as readily available on like Amazon or something like that. Or even if they are, maybe they're just not as widely known. And I love finding new coloring book artists or coloring page artists. And let me know down in the comments if you have any recommendations for this, because in today's interview, you will hear that I learned about a couple of new artists actually that I was not aware of before. And I realized like I love just exploring and learning about new people. I mean, we all know some of our favorites like Kirby, Johanna Basford, Hannah Carlzon, but I love finding those ones that maybe aren't as heard of too and helping promote them and making other people more aware of them as well. All right, and then lastly, I just wanted to mention some videos lately that have popped up for me. Now, I've been on a little bit of a digital detox. I am kind of just in a reading phase where I am listening to a lot of audiobooks, reading a lot of books, not watching as much YouTube. So, a few of these I have seen myself, and a few of them just popped up on my feed and they looked interesting and I wanted to share them with you just in case maybe they didn't pop up on your feed. So the first I think everybody will have seen. If you haven't checked out Joe over at Piggy Pen's video on I highly recommend checking that one out. And then also I really enjoyed Ashley over at Seeking Out Sunshine. Her completed pages video for the month of July was great. She had some really phenomenal pages and she is so good at adding in these like I don't know if you would call it like mixed media, but she just adds the most creative things to her pages that I personally would have never thought of before. So I really enjoyed watching her completed pages video. And then a few others that I haven't had a chance to watch yet, but are on my watch later list. Fearlessly Colorful has a 1-year-old colorist video. So she recently hit her 1 year as well. And she has a video talking about that. So I highly recommend that. And then Jazzy Doodle Designs has an Enchanted Earth full book collab where she put up the completed pages that everybody completed. And I'm excited to look at that and see everybody's completed pages. Cozy Paper Trails has a video about her coloring journey, which I thought sounded really interesting. And Colorfully Optimistic has a video on the cozy gnomes. And there was something, I can't remember the title of this video. I'll make sure to link all these people down in the description, but there was something about the title of that video that made me think maybe she didn't like that book or something. So of course, I was naturally curious as to what the situation was with that. All right, everybody. Well, today, like I said, I have another awesome interview that I'm going to be sharing with you. So let's go ahead and jump right into it.
Okay, everybody, I'm so excited to welcome today's guest. Kristy is the heart behind Whim Sage, a little coloring sanctuary created from her own desire to slow down in a busy, restless world. A graphic designer, mom, illustrator, and fellow coloring lover, she creates hand-drawn coloring books inspired by the quiet joy of slowing down, reconnecting with yourself, being supported, and simply enjoying the process. Through Whim Sage, Kristy hopes to create beautiful little spaces where people can pause, breathe, and remember that they don't have to carry everything all at once. Please welcome to Beyond the Lines Coloring Podcast, Kristy.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, Ali. That's so beautiful. I'm so excited to be here with you, and thank you for reaching out is all I can say first off.
And thank you for being willing to come on. So it's always hard I have a personality type that's kind of hard for me to reach out to people. And so you were just so welcoming and kind. And I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with me today.
Yeah. Oh, it's the best, isn't it? How awesome is this community? Like, I think that's the part that I'm just still always, I don't know why I'm still always blown away, but I am.
For sure. It really is an amazing community, and everybody's just so welcoming and joyful, and you are included in that. So thank you so much. All right, Kristy. Well, I have a few different questions that I wanted to talk to you today. And as we were talking before I hit record, you will be the first coloring book artist I've ever had on the podcast. So, some different questions today than the audience has probably heard before, but we're going to go ahead and jump right into it. So, my first question is, when did you first fall in love with art, and what did your creative journey look like before you entered the adult coloring space?
Oh my goodness. Okay. So art for me has been like, I feel like it's in my bones, that way. I the earliest memory that I have is like when I was 10, and it was so beautiful. It was unexpected. We had to do these little charcoal drawings at school, and I charcoal drew this little baby, and I remember it just getting accepted to go to other schools, and that was just the beginning. And I think then my mum just hyped me up, and I honestly thought I was just going to be an artist from then on. so so I just had this, that's where it all began. And then it went into high school, and that's where I really like deepened my love for art. I just had a great, like, how you just get those beautiful teachers that are just meant to be teachers, and their love and their passion for the subject that they're teaching just, ripples out into the students. That's the experience I had in high school. And it was the main reason I even ended up going to year 12, because I just had such a glorious teacher. So that's where my love for art just flourished. I just kept going from there. And then I ended up studying graphic design. And yeah, that's sort of where it all began.
That's such a beautiful beginning, and I love that you have such a passion for art. How did you end up getting into the adult coloring community, and what made you want to stay?
Oh my goodness. So I actually feel like I have been coloring. I was thinking about this, and I've been coloring since my boys were young, like really young. And I started with Johanna Basford, as we most of us do. And my boys are now 12 and 14. And I used to just color like, with little textures and kids coloring pencils, and just cut like literally just fill in the lines. And I used to love it, and I used to love bringing that page to life. And it wasn't anything, the way that coloring is just like so incredibly artistic now. And it wasn't until I really did Boho Sanctuary about a year ago that I really got involved more in the community, because before that I was just kind of lurking around the edges, watching YouTubes and, learning techniques. And I think it was like 3 or 4 years ago, I was on YouTube and I discovered that, oh my God, you can use fancy pencils. And that was when I actually started to invest in like Faber-Castells and the polychromos. And I started to sort of do my pages with a bit more like, yeah, I was like, oh, this is awesome. It was like next level. It was so cool. And that's where, yeah. And then the community side, when I come into it with Boho Sanctuary and starting Whim Sage, I was, yeah, really blown away. So it was like probably a year and a bit ago. And that's when I was like, wow, there's really a big community. I was sort of lurking around the edges, and I feel like I sort of, opened the door to the party and got involved. And it's just been so incredible, like so many beautiful connections, so many people, just kindness and the sharing and the love and the support. And, this, yeah, the united front on loving coloring is just awesome.
I love that. And I love your story about how you've been coloring since your kids were young. So I'm kind of in that stage now. My kids are young and my girls watch me color. And so they want
Yeah.
to color. And so, yeah, sometimes it's just, coloring in a kid's coloring book and it's funny to go back and forth sometimes. You go to like coloring in your kid's coloring book with your kids to, something way, way, way different on your own. So
Yes, exactly.
yeah, it's super fun, and I love that that was kind of where it began for you, as well as now you're recognizing like there's this whole other community, and that seriously, I feel like we kind of have like the same path because I was the exact same way. So I love hearing about that. You mentioned your first book, and you said was that about a year ago that that came out?
Yes, like almost to the date. I think it was like the somewhere around the 20th of July. So that was when she was released. Yeah.
Awesome. And what was your main vision or goal for that first book?
Oh, like I'd love to say I had this like grand vision, but I honestly just started. I just had a feeling and I wanted to, and it was more about wanting to just get back to drawing, get back to creating. And I had just been a little workhorse for, working and motherhood. And my boys were finally, um, have, older, and I just found myself with a bit more free time, and I just wanted to use it because I honestly wanted to just slow down a bit. And that's why the whole ethos of Whim Sage is my medicine, if I'm honest. I just wanted to slow down, and she just started with doodling on the iPad. And I didn't even really, I thought it'd be cool to make a coloring book. And I have that background in graphic design, and I've been doing like, I loved working with a beautiful client that we just made book covers. Oh, it was just like one of my favorite things to do. So I sort of had a little, I was comfortable with books, if you know what I mean. But creating your own is like a whole different thing. I probably thought it was going to be easy, but yeah, I had a steep learning curve. But I just started there. I just started with the intention was to slow down. And so that's how she came about. I hope that sort of makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And I love hearing kind of just the thought process behind that and just the fact that you just kind of jumped into it. And like you said, like the whole thought behind it was just kind of slowing down. I think that as because I don't draw or do any sort of art. I cannot draw to
Oh
save my life.
no, I
So
hope I haven't lost you.
as the colorist, I could definitely feel that in your books. I can feel kind of just like the intention behind the slowing down piece, and I really love that. I think that it's really beautiful how you're able to almost create a feeling for the colorists themselves as well. So I love that.
Oh, that's awesome. I think I lost you for a little moment, but I caught you at the end there. I'm not sure what happened, but yeah, I'm glad that you can feel it too. That's yeah, it's very intentional the way I create. I created for clients and things for a long time and created for others, if you know what I mean, and it was just really beautiful to create something that I had no limits.
Yeah, for sure. I love that. So that was your first book, and now you have a new book. Tell us about that.
Oh my goodness. Okay. It was such a journey creating Luna because I honestly thought I would, she would be out within 3 or so months. And it took 9 months. And it was a lot longer. I had to go through my own kind of creative journey of changing my style and discovering that I wanted to go even further with my illustrations and really I do feel like I've sort of said this before in other videos that I've made that I feel like I'm doing my illustrator apprenticeship, if you know what I mean, because that's not my background, but I've always loved to draw. But creating a coloring page has its own sort of set of, you need to make it so that like, and being a colorist myself, I wanted to make it so that it was really fun to color and that the line work, I was really thoughtful of how I wanted it to feel and work. And so it took a long time, and I'm sort of glad that it did, because it was again stepping into Whim Sage's whole ethos, which is not to force, not to put pressure on ourselves, not to think that we have to, have this sort of joyless action, because we come to coloring and it's about, unwinding and the slowing down and all of those things. So it was like embodying that. I feel like I went through a whole journey of doing that with Luna, and I feel like I've just started to really find my style and how I love to create pages. And I've always loved drawing women and animals and nature, and I just went deeper into doing all the things that I've always loved doing, along the way of my creative journey.
I love that. And it is truly such a beautiful book. I mean, both of your books are absolutely stunning. And I think that I have seen your new book on YouTube everywhere now. I don't know if I can think of a colorist that doesn't have it. So congratulations, because that, I mean, it really does go to show just how incredible it is and how much the community has enjoyed it.
Yeah, that was such a big. I thought because Boheo had such a lovely, gentle, slow rollout over the year, I really thought Luna would do the same. And I have been really, really extremely heart overflowingly surprised at the response to Luna. Yeah, it was definitely not expected.
I bet I can see how it just feels different from each book.
Yeah.
Do you have any, out of all the illustrations in Luna, do you have a personal favorite? And why is it your favorite, or what makes it special to you?
Yeah. I have a favorite, and it's probably the most simple page. And it is the one with the whales. I drew that at a time when my son was getting his first job. And as a mom, oh gosh, isn't it like, it feels like such an up and down, like pull and tug with, you're sort of letting go of, their seasons of growing, like, and you're welcoming in, them maturing more. And I think that whole season, just those whales, to me, it's me and my two boys, and it's about them, starting to really travel their own path, and but also knowing that you're not doing it alone. And I think that's the message for that one, that you're never alone when doing things. But and I always want them to feel that way. But they also are, going out into the world and starting to experience life for themselves.
I love that, and I feel like that just brings like a whole new meaning to that page. Even just hearing you talk about it, and you're so right. I mean, I can relate. My kids are little, but it's so interesting watching them go through the different stages. It's like you want them to be able to do things on their own and grow and develop, but at the same time, it feels sad. So it's kind of
Yes.
like this push and pull of
Yeah.
I want you to grow up, but not quite too fast, but also don't grow up. So I love that you have kind of that story behind the page for your favorite page of your newest book.
Yeah.
How so we talked about this a little bit, but how has the community's response and seeing people color your pages impacted you as an artist?
Oh, I it never ceases to, like, my eyes widen, my heart overflows every time I see a page. Like, I honestly, words don't express the feeling, and knowing that someone sat with your work and colored it, and my core hope is that it's just bringing them joy and peace and all of that, good stuff. Because, but knowing that that's what is happening, and and seeing what people are doing and creating and spending time, it's just it is honestly a bit surreal. Especially when you've been in your creative cave, like, creating, and that that's the intention for the book, for people to color it. But yeah, it's still very heart expanding, is the word that I feel every time I see that. Yeah.
I love that. And like we've talked about, I hope you know how much on the colorist end too, we've enjoyed your book. And one thing I want to point out, just in case anybody hasn't had a chance to grab your book, is I really you have something in your book that I've never seen before, and it's how you had the page that was about kind of like the intention. Like,
Mhm.
if you need rest, choose these pages. I personally have never seen that in a book before. How did you come up with that idea, and kind of what was your thought process behind that part?
Oh, all of my ideas drop in at the most random times. Okay, I have to thank my washing line, because often I'm out hanging out washing, and or I'm just clean. I'm doing something so mundane, something that you do every day, and I just get this idea. I'm like, oh, could we do this, or could we do that? And when that idea dropped in, I was at the final stages. I've had all the illustrations done. I really started to all their messaging was done, that the titles were done, and all of that was flowing, and the book was coming together. And I just was feeling that there was something missing. There was just this feeling of, because with my books, I really do want them to be a place of holding and supporting people. That's honestly how, because that's what I want from them too, as when I color them. And when that dropped in, of like, oh my goodness. And, I was really playing with all of the messaging and everything. And I thought, oh my, they just have such strong pulls to different topics, different, emotions that I was, feel that how it was going to support, how those pages were going to support people. That's how I was hoping. And I was, yeah, when I'm out doing the washing, I just get these bursts of ideas. And that, when that dropped in, of having that moonlit intention, I was like, oh, and immediately I loved it. And I was like the fire had been lit, and I couldn't get to my computer like quick enough, if you know what I mean. And I was just wanting to, you know, intuitively just choose those pages that were going to connect there. And yeah, I created that page, and I was so happy. I was so happy.
Like I said, I've never seen that in another coloring book, and I think I'm at like in the hundreds now. And so that is just such a unique thing. I truly cannot comprehend how you came up with that idea, but I also can understand because I come up with ideas at the most random times too.
Yeah.
So, um, kind of looking more into that process, could
Yeah.
you walk us through kind of your creative process in general from a blank page or an initial idea? How does that become a finished coloring page?
Yeah. I'd love to say that I have like all these amazing plans and visions, but it honestly always starts with a feeling for me. And before I can even like see the page, like see how it's going to come together, it's like a feeling. Like when I was doing that whale page, for instance, I knew I wanted to do whales, but it was almost like as I was doing it, and whatever I'm going through personally really affects that too, because when I was creating that page, that's what was happening with my eldest son, and it just felt so meaningful. And that's why it's very easy to have the titles and the messaging come through, because it's generally whatever's going on for me at that time as well. So it always starts with a feeling. Then it goes into this sketchy stage, which I use Procreate to do that because I love Procreate's. It feels like I'm with pencils. That's what I love. And I have a paper thing on my, like a screensaver, and it just feels like paper, and I just adore it, and I adore working that way. So I just start to just sketch it out and get ideas and sort of start to play with the composition and how it's going to fit together. And sometimes it really flows, but the more that I find that I get out of the way and just sit in the feeling, the more the page flows. But if I'm there trying to think that I need to have this vision and make it work a certain way, I normally really come up against some creative roadblocks, and a lot of those pages never work. So I have a fair few pages that where I feel like I get in the way of it. And then from there, she goes into, so from the feeling to the sketch, and then she goes into, once I'm really happy, I go into final line work. And to be honest, this is the most beautiful part, because she's already sort of birthed herself, if you know what I mean. And then I can sit there and I can listen to music or anything, and I'm just so in the flow of doing all of the lines, and it's so meditative, and it's lovely. I love that part so much. And yeah, and then before I know it, she's ready to go into the book and be designed, if you know what I mean.
I love hearing that, and that is such a unique and in-depth way to describe your creative process. I haven't heard it described like that before, and so I really think that gives like a peek behind the curtain. So I appreciate you sharing that with us, and it's so interesting to hear. Is there anything about the self-publishing or the design process behind the scenes that you think most colorists or listeners would be surprised to learn?
I I think the biggest thing, like, yes, there's a steep learning curve if you're doing it yourself and you're, designing the book yourself. I'm really grateful I have my graphic design background. But everything's so accessible to learn these days. And that side, like the technical side of putting and designing your book, is all learnable. Like, it's all doable, especially with the way we've got information at our fingertips, which is amazing. But the part of self publishing, I think, that it may surprise people, it may not. I think it can look very glamorous, and everything. But I've really found that it can be a real challenge, and you can have a lot of self doubt along that process. And I think that's the part that, because you're constantly questioning, whether what you're creating, because this is how I see it. When I'm creating in my little creative cave, I'm just like in my little happy place doing it. And then the publishing side of things is like you're actually getting it ready to go out in the world, and you're sort of, to me, it's sort of like you put your heart out there a little bit, and it can be quite vulnerable. So I think the part of self-publishing that might not be talked about a lot, or it's just, I can only go from what I know, and it's not like I've been publishing for years, it's only been 1 year, but it's that part that can be a bit tricky. And I think that's where I have to really just anchor into the ethos of, backing myself, and also what Women Sage stands for, and then I really have to like build that foundation, I suppose.
That's really insightful. And I think that you really nailed it. I can see how it would be a very vulnerable process, like, especially all the time and energy and emotions and things that you put into creating something, and then you're sharing it with other people. So I can definitely, I can't say that I can directly know what it feels like because I have never created a coloring book, but I can feel from the way that you're talking that that probably is a very vulnerable process. And I can see what you mean by that.
Yeah.
From your Instagram and YouTube, it's clear that you're not just a creator, but you also color yourself. And I know we touched on that a little bit earlier. When you have free time, how do you decide whether you want to spend it drawing or coloring?
Oh, I feel like this is like it's almost like having seasons. Uh, like when I'm in my creative cave working on the coloring book, a lot of my creative energy obviously just is funneling there naturally. And I'm someone that I really have really tried to learn that it's okay to just go with whatever I'm creatively being drawn to, and that I never wanted Women's Age to feel like a full on job, if you know what I mean. So when it comes to choosing whether I'm going to draw or whether I'm going to color, it's actually nicely, what's the word, balanced, because when I'm in my season of creating the book, a lot of energy goes there. And then when I feel like I need a break from that, it's lovely to then come over to my coloring and just let loose, and be the colorist and not have to worry about being the coloring book creator. And then vice versa, then I go from being and then come back over to drawing and when I'm feeling it. And then there's just this nice ebb and flow, to be honest. And like right now, the book's just released, Luna, and so I am just loving sitting back into my colorist chair and just basking in that and coloring and not even really drawing a lot.
I love that. You're kind of just following your intuition, it sounds like. When you feel like coloring, you're coloring. When you feel like drawing, you're drawing. And I think a lot of people have been talking about this in the community, just in general, as far as like plans go and finished
Mm,
pages and things like that, just leaning more into just color what you feel like coloring. And it sounds like that's
mm.
kind of what you do with drawing and coloring.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Do you have any favorite coloring book artists yourself or illustrators right now that are really inspiring you?
Oh my goodness. Yes. Oh, I have to first and foremost, Sierra Truong. Oh, I just love her. I just love her so much. And we've connected in the community as well. But even before I had her books, and I just love her. I love everything her books provide. Like I think that's where I was like, oh, I want more books like this. I want like this deeper experience. Like Sierra puts so much beautiful intention into her books, and it's felt, and I just adore that, and I'm so drawn to her. Yeah, she's amazing. She's my top number one, and then I obviously love Hannah Carlson, Maria Trolle. I love Joanna Basford. I love Melpomene. Is that it? And also, I have a book that I don't see very often, and I need to share it. But she's Luna Magnolia, and she's an incredible illustrator and artist, and I love her work too. She's very intentional as well.
I love that. There, you had a couple in there that I haven't heard of. So, did you say Sierra? Was that the first one?
Yeah, Sierra Truong.
Okay. How do you spell her last name?
Oh, good question. I have a book in front of me, so come prepared. So her last name is Truong.
Awesome. Yeah, I've never heard of her before, so I want to make
Oh
sure
my,
that the listeners can
oh,
find
get
her.
on it. She's amazing. She's from New Zealand.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm definitely going to be looking her up right after this.
Yes.
And then who was the last person that you mentioned?
Oh, her name's Kristy too. I'm just looking in the
Okay.
back of her book. She goes under, I think it's Luna Magnolia on Instagram,
Okay.
and it's Cristi Tumason, so Tumason, And she's an artist, designer, illustrator, and nature lover. And her books are just beautiful. Like I think she just has the one book at the moment. I haven't seen any others, but I could be wrong. But she has beautiful illustrations, and yeah, I love her work as well.
Awesome. Well, for anybody listening, I will make sure to put those in the description because those sound
Mhm.
like two artists I'm definitely going to need to check out, and everybody else needs to if you haven't
Yeah.
heard of them.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, if you could co-create a dream collaboration book with any other artist in the community, who would you partner with and what would the theme be?
Oh, 100% Sierra, and whatever calls to our hearts at that time. It'll probably be something. She does a lot of nature and things as well. But oh yeah, Sierra would be incredible. It'd be amazing.
I started guessing that when I heard you talking about her, but just wanted to double check. That would be very cool to be able to see. I don't think we see very many books, coloring books, get co-collaborated on in general, but it would be really cool. So,
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
yeah, I think that would be awesome. Do you have anything coming up, or could you give us a little sneak peek of anything that you're going to be working on in the near future?
Oh, I've already started book three, and she's coming in hot with her energy. I feel like there's this wild sort of unapologetic feeling happening, and I'm definitely feeling very. She feels very feminine and powerful, and yeah, like a whole different feeling to what Luna or Boho have, and yeah, I'm just loving that. I'm like, hell yeah, I'm there for that, and so that's what's feeling like it's coming through. A lot more women and animals and things like that, but yeah, just this sort of fierceness, I suppose.
That was the most awesome sneak peek I've ever had. I'm so excited for this. I imagine it will be a little while since you just had one released, but I'm
Yeah,
not going to be able to stop thinking about it now. This sounds awesome.
I know. I'm sitting here going, well, I want that book and I want to color it. So
Yes, and now everybody else will too, for sure. Well, that sounds awesome, Christy. I can't
yeah.
wait to see what you create. And I, is there anything else that you want to share with the listeners or the audience?
I just want to say that the community is just blows my mind every day, and I feel like I'm deep diving at the moment, sort of like I've really stepped into the coloring party, if you know what I mean. Like I said, I've been sort of lurking around the edges for a while and started to come into that community a bit more through boho, but now I really feel this like sense of like this is just such an awesome space to be in. And I really on it's the part that I just love as well. That was I really didn't expect it. I don't know what I expected actually, but that part has just been friggin' unreal. Unreal. So I think I'm not sure where I was going with that, but that's the part that I just love. I just love.
Awesome. Well, I know the community, like I've mentioned many times while we've been chatting, is just loving your book. And I'm so glad that I found you and found your books. And I can't thank you enough, like I said, for coming on the podcast and chatting with me and just sharing more about you. And I feel like I got to learn so much. And I know the listeners are going to be excited to learn more about you as well. Where can everybody find your books, follow your work, and connect with you online?
Oh, I love hanging out on Instagram, and I've just started a little YouTube channel, so I've got my L plates on over there. But I'm all of it is at Whim Sage, which is nice and handy. My books and things can be found through my website. I have all direct links, so my books are available in digital format over in Etsy, and then on Amazon currently. Yeah, which is so cool.
Awesome. Well, if you have not picked up one of Christy's books, please go over and support her. I think that her books are amazing, and I truly cannot lead somebody wrong, Christy. They're fantastic. So I can't thank you enough again for coming on the podcast, and I'm just so overjoyed that we were able to chat today.
Oh, thank you so much, Ali. Thank you so much for setting this up and all your time, energy, and effort. Truly. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yes, no worries. Thanks so much, Kristy.
Big love.
Okay, everybody. Well, like I said, I am so grateful that Kristy from Whim Sage was willing to come on the podcast today. She brought such creative and unique insights as both a colorist and an artist. And I loved hearing about her process and just the way that her books came to be. I know that her most recent book has been exploding all over the coloring community lately. So if you haven't picked up a copy of her most recent book or her first book, I will put the names down in the comments, as well as links to her channel and her Instagram so that you can check out Kristy and support her on her platforms. All right. I want to quickly touch on today's creator spotlight. Now, in the spirit of this interview, I did pick an artist to spotlight this week, and this is a new artist to me that I found through Instagram. She sells her artwork and coloring pages on Etsy. Her name is Ellie Marks, and I had not heard of her before, and I absolutely fell in love with her illustration style when I saw it. She has a really unique style that kind of reminds me of a combination of different artists in her own unique way, which I think is really, really cool. I immediately bought two of her books. She also has a book called Cozy Halloween. So this is the book that I bought. It has a good variety of types of illustrations, which I appreciate. So it has some of those quick little wins, but then it has full pages and then middle, it's somewhere in the middle. She also has what she calls a bookmark book, and they kind of look like little bookshelves. They're pretty thick, so like I don't know that I would personally use them as an actual bookmark in a book, but they're little bookshelves that are themed differently. So it kind of reminded me of like the go to pop shelf pages, but instead of like big shelves, they're little individual bookshelves. They come three to a page, and you can keep an eye out on my channel if you want to see this book because it should be in my fall haul near the end of the season, but also I'm sure you'll see it before that in other videos. But anyways, she has like three bookshelves to a page, and they all have a little different theme. So I'm really excited to get started in those two books, and you will see her cozy Halloween book in my upcoming Shop My Stash video. So I will also link Ellie's Etsy down in the description so that you can go and check her out and support her. And then some favorites of the week. So I would have to say I'm really still I can't remember if I said this last time, but I'm really still loving using sickles. I hadn't had any sickles or glitter glue prior to a couple weeks ago, and I've used them on the July and the August Tiny Shelves pages recently, and they're just really working. I don't use a lot. I kind of keep it minimal, but they just add that little extra pop to some of the elements that I'm really loving. Also, I'm of course loving my autumn or fall coloring prep. I've talked a lot about that this episode, but I love just looking through my books and getting ready for this season, kind of entering that cozy autumn vibe season. And there's so many pages, way too many pages to do in one season, but I'm excited to get started on some of those as well as some Halloween page coloring. And then lastly is my non-coloring related favorite of the week, and that is audiobooks and Kindle Unlimited. So I recently found out that if you have Kindle Unlimited, you can get the audiobook of whatever book you've downloaded off of Kindle Unlimited for a very discounted price, like 75 to 80% off. So that's been really helpful because I can switch back and forth between reading it and listening to it depending on what other activity I'm doing at the time. So those are my favorites of the week. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Beyond the Lines Coloring Podcast, and I will see you guys next time. Bye, everybody.